exciting live episode of Two Men in Black and White, an honest conversation. A couple of yahoos with computers and the ability to live stream. We try to look at things through a black and white lens, through the view of the black community and my perspective, and the upwardly mobile white community with the view of Brock Gonellis's lens. Uh, let's keep it real, folks. Breaking news out of Washington. Wow, the Trumpster really looks bad in these latest list of pretty damning photos that came out of the 95,000 documents obtained by the House Oversight Committee. The Democrats leading the charge on this one. And the pictures are ugly. Donald Trump condoms, gags, wow, S&M equipment. It's ugly. And the Trumpster is in a lot of these pictures. So, Cittadini might be in some trouble here. Brock Gonellis joins us now live from the beautiful confines of the upper Hudson River Valley. And Brock, I told you this was going to be the one. This was going to be the anchor around the neck of Cheeto Mussolini. And this is it for him, man. The Epstein files will take this guy down. No one cares about what, Slick Willie Clinton did. He's persona non grata now. No one cares about Larry Summers. He doesn't need the money. He doesn't care. Nobody cares about Dershowitz. He keeps trying to insert himself and to make himself credible. I don't know why. Instead of just keeping his head down, Mr. I kept my underwear on. So, what are your thoughts on these latest pictures and where we go with them?
Well, number one, it's like a deluge of photos, right? I mean, apparently 20,000 have been released, but they received like 90,000 documents
Yes.
and photos. So, which means we should be seeing a steady flow of additional photos over the
Sure.
next several days. So, basically, there's more to come. I mean, at this point, there's zero chance for Trump to distance himself from Epstein.
Right.
He's in so many photos and so many photos with Ghislaine Maxwell, who he said, barely knew and all that. I mean, he's just right in the middle of the thick of it. The girls look so young, right? Because they are,
That's the scary
right?
part.
It's like he's a camp counselor, for a summer camp for 10-year-old girls, right?
Except he's
So
in his 40s.
yeah, he's in his four. It's just disgraceful. So it's very damning. He can't distance himself from it. We're supposed to get the actual Epstein files next week, right? 18th or 19th is like the 30-day
Yeah.
mark while they're,
Yeah.
scrambling to redact them and paying overtime to FBI agents to, scrub Trump's name
And
from those
scrub
files.
them.
But like, it's getting to the point where like the actual Epstein file doesn't matter because we're getting so much, damning kind of visual proof just
Right.
from the documents coming from the Epstein family trust. So, yes, we want to see the files. Yes, they're going to try to cover them up. But it's almost like too much has come out already for Trump's lies to work. He'll try, but I don't see him lying his way out of it. I think he's eventually going to have to segue to it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the sad part because the evangelicals, remember those folks who said they didn't care, right? Those white suburban moms who pulled the lever for Trump, right? Who stared these victims in the face in the voting booth and said, "We don't care about your pain." If you've I listened to the Lisa Phillips podcast. I've listened to a couple of the other interviews with some of the Epstein survivors. Brock, they like you can't help but feel so bad for these young ladies, right? Because and one of the most brilliant PR moves I've seen in recent history is these young ladies holding up the picture that says, "This is how old I was when I met Jeffrey Epstein," right? And that just gave us the whole visual, right? Like the picture we saw with Prince Andrew and Virginia Giuffre, right? How young she looked. And it was like, oh my God, that is awful. And, it, it just, you have to wonder what's going on in the American psyche that makes us want an individual like this. You used to be able to look up and say, hey, you should try to be like the president, if you had a son, right? Not anymore.
I was so past that.
Not anymore. We're long
I was
gone from
pissed.
past that. I just don't
So,
know what we're doing.
so why do you think that the victims haven't produced that list of names yet and told the stories that we know they know and some real ugly specifics? Do you think they're still waiting to see if the files get released in any way, shape, or form that has a punch to it? So you think they're just waiting?
Now, you're asking me what I think, so I'm going to opine. And this is simply my opinion. Eh, I'm not an inside guy or anything like that, but I think they're scared to death. I don't think Virginia Giuffre took her own life, although I could be, all kinds of wrong. And I don't think she took her life because she had a lot to live for, right? They'd won some lawsuits, got plenty of money,
Mm-hmm.
right? So, life was made more comfortable. I'm not going to say it was easier because she still had to live with the pain each and every day, which is why she could have taken her life. But if I'm not mistaken, she had children. And, you know, the kids changed the game, right?
Yeah.
You're no
Well,
longer,
well, MTG did promise she would read the names before she left, right? She's, supposedly walking out the door, what, Jan 3 or Jan 4th, but she could pick the day it's resignation, right? So she could pick the
right,
day. She could decide it's the 11th instead and
right.
get on the floor and read names. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. Today's dump of photos was just more damaging to Trump, who's already a mentally incompetent, teetering old man. And the reason why everyone knows he was involved is the shit he said just 2 days ago. Like at his rally about Carolyn Levitt and her lips and how, cute, like literally old senile grandpa shit about a 27-year-old woman. Like he hasn't changed. He is who he is. So
Yeah.
him trying to distance himself from the Epstein story, I just think it's an epic fail. And Mac is just going to go down with him on this one.
Well, that's the sad part. Is like, why is MAGA? Or do they not see a future after him? I don't. I
Yeah,
don't know how
that's
they
it.
could.
They so don't trust JD Vance and or anyone else that
Right.
they're propping him up. He's alive, but he's weekend at Bernie's, right? He's just being propped up to still lead this movement because every day he goes out and looks like a fool, looks like he's dying, says crazy shit. They kind of
Right.
calibrate behind it or around it, or increasingly, some of them peel away and challenge him, whether it's Rand Paul on the bombings or Thomas Massey on the Epstein files or Marjorie Taylor MTG on affordability and not taking care of, like, in essence, poor rural white people, which was her district. More and
Right.
more, or it's the group of state senators in Indiana who basically just voted against him on
Yeah.
the gerrymandering.
Hey. Before we get to that, Brock, what do you think MTG's long run is? What's the long game with her? Uh,
I think she wants to run for president in 2028. I don't care what she says right now that she's
yeah.
not going to, that she wants to
Yeah.
step away, that it's the family and threats and all the fucking bullshit reasons she's giving right now. I
Sure.
think she's savvier than the rest of them, doesn't
Mm-hmm.
want to play in Trump's band anymore, sees it
Mm-hmm.
going south, sees all the
Sure.
voters starting to peel away, and wants to stay away from the implosion, figures it's going to tarnish everyone who stays close, like Vance and Cruz and all those
Right.
other jokers, and she
Right.
can swoop in and take the mantle of MAGA post Trump.
Right.
I think she thinks it's better to do it by stepping away than staying
Making a
in the
comeback.
mix.
If I'm her, see, here's my problem with that thinking. Has she forgotten all the ill that she's brought on the political process? Has she forgotten the fact that she was acting like a hyena? And no offense to hyenas, they're beautiful animals, I guess. They have their part, they have their role in the circle of life. But has she forgotten the kinds of videos that will pop up during a presidential campaign? It would be so ugly. And her lovers, right, on the side, and just her total lack of morality. Are we going? I mean, all we have to do is, do we want to go back down this road with another immoral candidate?
MAGA
You know,
World does. She's reading MAGA World. She's probably determined that MAGA World doesn't care about that morality stuff. That it's all a fraud, all the religion. She can talk the talk enough to where she can get that whole, white Christian, power movement behind her, and she can play the populist role that Trump said he was, but never really was in policy, and can get MAGA behind her. And she's just thinking about winning that side of the ledger. And then when it comes to the general election, they just figure voters don't care. They've proven it with Trump, and racism wins in America. And when she gets to a general election, she'll play to the fears. She'll play the same game: crime, immigration, all those same things that get, white people riled up and afraid and voting for their own, quote, security, or at that point in 4 years, voting still for their control of America. I see the strategy. I see how it could work.
wow, that is scary that it
It
could
is
work.
scary because that just tells you MAGA's not going to go away. Trump's going to go away, but MAGA's not going to go away. Someone's going to try
Right.
to lead the movement.
Right. That's frightening, Brock.
I
And I hate
think.
to even think of it. Wow. I just, it just scares me that our political process has sunken so low, um, that we're willing to settle. This guy. Again, I still don't believe he won, 2024 fair and square. I believe that Kamala beat him, but he had enough votes. There were enough people that went in there, you know, to make it close enough where he didn't have to do much rigging, right? So, if they only had to rig, 4 out of the 7 swing states or 5, it got done,
Look,
right? And he won all of them. That's the thing.
white people are going to vote for white
White
supremacy.
people.
MTG's probably thinking that she can get some women votes back that Trump's lost, and that's part of why she's jumped on the Epstein file thing, is to be a
Oh,
champion of women. And she maybe thinks she can win that suburban white mom, um, even though she has to overcome the misogyny of MAGA of whether they would even nominate a woman. But hey,
right.
she has a chance to pull it off. Why not? Look around. Who else? Who else on the right is the heir apparent to Trump?
Oh, brother, brother,
Think about who
brother.
she is going to be going against. They're all terrible. Rubio, Cruz, Vance. None of them, they've all lost a bunch of times. She's watched
Right.
them all get emasculated on stages before and probably figures she can do it. Shit,
That's
Nikki
scary.
Haley kicked all their asses.
Right.
And
Right.
she's a
Nikki Haley.
brown woman who had to change her name just to run on that side of the ledger. MTG's probably like, hey, I'm a white woman from Georgia. I'm white. I'm going to get these votes easily. I'm going to own red state America, and I can win a few of these, in between states. I can get Wisconsin or Iowa or Michigan or whatever. That's got to be what she's thinking. I don't know. I don't like to spend too much time on what's going on in MAGA world because I hope that America has woken up to it
Yeah, because I was gonna
already,
say,
but certainly over, with the shit that's going to come to make things worse. that
Right.
like MAGA's not even going to have a chance to win an election if there's a fair election ever again in America.
Right. And I was going to say, Brock, and then we can move on. Even after she hung her constituency out to dry with SNAP benefits, you know how rural America felt, and with this big beautiful bill, right? Um, I still can't believe that anybody would put their faith in a MAGA candidate, as far as you could throw them. But call me crazy. Crazier things have happened and are
Crazier things
happening
have happened, are happening.
and
No,
will happen
the
again.
segue I was, what to me, the segue I have, which is related, is look, Trump's approval ratings are tanking.
Right.
They're down in every poll. They're down in every category, even the ones that could have been his strength. And of course, we're also seeing this swing in every election, special election or election that's gone on since last year, right? There's been a 10 to 20 point swing in voting behavior. There's been a bigger swing in the approval ratings, but it's pretty much been reflected whenever voters get the chance, right? Whether it be Miami, New Jersey, Virginia, California, you go up and down the Tennessee, right? It was like a 14
Yep.
point swing. So I get the sense that a whole swaths of groups of people have woken up to the fact that Trump does not give a shit about them. All
Right.
the people that were like, how the fuck did they vote for Trump? Latinos, specifically Cubans, have come around, right?
Yeah.
Latinos for Trump going on TikTok and everywhere, say, with apology videos, right?
Right. Right.
Cubans, showed up in Miami. You saw it right there in the vote, right?
What
Um,
happened to you guys? Oh, jeez.
Somalis. It's almost comical to watch the Somalis now in Minneapolis. The
Backpedaling.
Somalis for Trump now coming back around and going, "Whoa, he's racist," and oh, we can't be. Um, Farmers, even with the bailout, right? A lot of rural white farmers, they're not, that money's not going to really bail all of them out. It's going to get a
Right.
lot of the big farms, but a lot of the small guys
Right.
are not going to survive. And they
It's
have
still
no
screwed.
business next year. So they know they might, get through the winter, but they have no customers anymore. So, like, what are they
Right.
going to do with the farm in the future? Like, why buy
Right.
equipment? Like, who are they making soybeans for? Right? No one's buying them. Some other groups, maybe a little slower, like white women, some white women,
Only
particularly
some.
Epstein didn't get them right, but particularly the ones that are middle class or below, feeling the pinch, looking at the healthcare costs, doing the shopping for the family, and are
Right.
just fucking livid. And a lot of them losing their jobs.
Yep. Yeah.
And then of course the youth vote. The youth vote's been a huge swing. All those MAGA youth, Turning Point, Charlie Kirk, acolyte bullshit. Palestine, where Palestine was part of their vote, that Biden was, a war criminal, and Kamala was right on board with it. A lot of young people surprisingly voted for Trump, and we were like, fuck, you're voting for that old racist fucking fucker who doesn't give a shit about you? Biden
Right.
wants to cancel your loans. Trump
Right.
is going to reinstate it. Like, he's going to crush you economically. But they voted for him anyway. Now that, and all polling showing that swung dramatically. So those are like really a laundry list of large groups that have sort of woken up, who fucked around and now have found out that Trump and MAGA do not give a shit about him. And it's why everyone's talking about a blue wave, that if there's midterms, that
Right.
this is why as we talked about 2 days ago, why so many MAGA Congress people are going to resign, because they're not going to put themselves through a shitty primary against a Trump candidate if they're not
Right.
totally MAGA,
Right.
and or getting their asses handed to them because they're on the wrong side of every issue and they know it. So, but they rolled with Trump. But Trump's approval's going down. He's lost his luster. The Epstein photos it's just more fuel on the fire and more reason for more people, particularly women, to turn on him based upon the
sure.
Epstein files. So
For sure.
that's the dynamic in America right now. But then I ask you, Mark,
Yep.
does it even matter that that's what's going on? Because Project 2025 fucking asshole masterminds are still dismantling America and revamping and turning this country into something it's never been, into a white supremacy America first, like despot country where we're talking about getting out of NATO because we're friends with Putin, and now we're cutting sweetheart deals with China and giving them all this technology when we're getting
It's
nothing back. When we're getting nothing back, so it's we've 180'd who our adversaries are and who our friends are, yet at least 2/3 of the country now is
right.
totally against what the country is doing.
Right.
But
I
how do we get out of this box?
I if we don't have midterms, I mean, it's up to the American people to rally behind one another and to go arm in arm to the Capitol and unseat this guy. I mean, what will we be left with if he cancels elections? Right? First of all, Brock, let's just say this. In what, 2.5 weeks? What's today? The 12th? In 19 days, on January 2nd or 20 days, whatever it is, when these healthcare premiums, I read an article earlier today from KFF, that watchdog agency that monitors the healthcare industry. They interviewed an educational consultant in Chicago, and her premium was going from $180 a month to $1,200 a month. When that 48 million people, 50 million, whatever that number is on the ACA, who people used to think was the ACA and not Obamacare, when that tidal wave hits, we are going to see a whole mountain of upset people. I mean, in every corner of this country, it's going to affect people in ways we've never seen before. This is going to literally bankrupt the healthcare system, right? Because now it comes down to people who have healthcare and people who don't. And that's what we are. It's the haves and the have-nots, which the Republicans have always won. How long have they been fighting for this? I don't understand why people vote Republican. When they first said we don't want everyone to have health care, I said, why is that a battle? Well, now we know. So these
Mark,
83 billionaires,
white America literally believed this was something that was only going to affect the others. They literally did not spend the time to even look into their whole own lives. A lot of them don't even know they're on Medicaid. Didn't even know. They thought they were on the ACA and not Obamacare, and everyone hated Obamacare, but they had their health care. They literally either didn't know or willfully ignorant, and they thought the other people were going to get hurt. It wasn't going to affect them. The farmers are the canary in the coal mine in white America. They're, that classic, it's not going to impact me.
wow.
I mean, black people got to be sitting back going, we told you this shit. We could see this shit a mile away. That's why we all voted for. I mean,
Hey, me and my
that
cronies,
laundry list of Trump voters that I went through, Somalis, Cubans, young people, white women,
Latinos. Yep.
Latinos, right? Like, I mean, you have to be sitting back and just going, I mean, your feed must be like my feed of just different groups of people crying about how shitty their lives have gotten
Bitching.
or what
Yes.
fear they're in because of ICE
Yep.
and how their lives have gotten, quality of life has gone down, and how it's about to get even worse in 2026. And black people have sat back and watched it for the whole year.
Yep.
I hope and beg and pray that you guys get out there and, quasi with white people lead the charge, and some Latinos now lead the charge, because we're going to have to get back on the streets. Mark, we can't wait 11 months. When we talk about the midterms, even if there's a fair election, that fair election is going to be the first Tuesday or something, or second Tuesday. What is it? First Tuesday in November?
Yep.
It's 11 months away. Look at the damage
We
Trump's
can't
done
wait
in
for
the
that.
first 11 months. You're going to
Yep.
tell me we're going to do 11 more months of this just to get to a vote? For
Yeah, we
people who
can't.
won't even be in their seat till January 2027, come on, Mark.
We
America's
can't.
gone. America's gone by then. The economy, the democracy, the our standing on the world stage. I mean, we're a train wreck by then.
Yeah, we're done by then. We're ghosts. Let me ask you something. How much do you think um, the Trump disapproval factor weighed in on that Indiana gerrymandering vote by the state House Republicans?
I think
Because
it
it
weighed
wasn't
in high.
close.
I think it weighed in high. I think, there's a sense that if Trump's approval is that low, he's not on the right side of issues. And therefore, if we do something that follows his lead, we're going to get punished for it.
Hmm.
I think it pretty much had everything to do with it. I don't
Yes.
think there's any way that Indiana State House stands up against Trump 6 months ago.
Yeah. Well, see, the thing is, who's going to stand up to Trump, right? Because Ohio has a gerrymandering plan. North Carolina has one. We saw it happen in Texas. But is it just Texas and California? If everybody else says, "All right, let's knock off the BS," then that's one thing. All right, at least Gavin Newsom answered the call, and we got that done. So maybe it's a wash. But then again, those Latinos who may have fafoed now have a chance to get back at Trump because those 5 districts, I don't care what they historically have done because we've been seeing 20-point swings. So, who knows whose relative got swept up in an ice raid,
Yeah, I
right?
love I love what Texas looks like. In Missouri, they had like 300,000 signatures that got hand dropped off in the state house to, in essence, the people making a statement against their ideas of gerrymandering. So it looks
Wow.
like Missouri might not even take it to the floor to vote for it. It,
Wow.
just keep an eye on Missouri. The Secretary of State could kind of, in essence, override that 300,000 petitioners, but it was just a huge number, right? That's
Right.
a petition. That's not even going to the ballot box, right? That's really grassroots effort. So that's a great
Yes.
job by the resistance in Missouri. Yeah, I think you're gonna see a pumping of the brakes in some places on this widespread initiative just because the people are getting louder and louder. And Mark, if you're right that in 3 weeks, a whole bunch of people just get rip shit angry because their healthcare costs, it's one thing to see it, it's a second to have to cut the check. Like the day you cut the check and then look at your bank account and realize you have to cut
Like,
back
holy
on
shit.
food and other stuff. Like
Right.
the pain, that's when the pain really hits and that's when the anger is going to boil over.
Well, picture this. You're a small business owner with a child with some kind of healthcare condition that absolutely demands you have healthcare coverage, right? And your premium's already high, right? I'm saying $500-600. Now it's going to go to $3,500, right? Because that's what we're seeing: 6 times, 7 times your current premium. We're not saying it's doubling. We're saying it's 5, 6, 7 times the amount you're already paying. What is that family going to do? Let their child die? Or do they get a second mortgage on their home just to pay for healthcare costs? I mean, Brock, this is going to upset family. What if you've got some kind of condition and you can't work, right? And you're in at that limbo between, moving to government assistance and, being a gainfully employed human being. Like there are all kind of scenarios that
Mark,
just screw Americans left and right.
people on chemo who can't, like, the whole family's going to have a
Exactly.
discussion. It's going to be a huge family discussion.
Right.
Oh, your mother, 54-year-old woman in Nebraska, right, who's in the middle of chemo and now can't afford it. Like the whole family's going to have to rally around, right? They're all going to have to like pool their dollars, or what are they going to sit there and say, oh, I guess mom's going to die? No, they're going to like pool all their family resources. It's going to be huge. Talk about dining room table discussions, right, that are
Right.
going to go on, right?
Right.
Families with kids, they're going to do whatever it takes for their kid. Yeah, second mortgages on homes, all kinds of crazy shit's going to go on. And we don't even know how bad it's going to get. How many people aren't going to be able to even afford their medication, the insulin, the blood pressure pills, like that day-to-day shit that's keeping people alive because modern medicine's so fucking good.
Right. And
So
and the most expensive in the world, right? Like no place. How come every other industrialized nation has figured out how to insure its people, and we don't want to?
they're willing to have socialized medicine. They're willing to use the term socialism and say, you know, when it comes to healthcare, we're all in this together and
Yep.
we're all going to pool our resources and we're going to create a whole system where we're a society that actually takes care of each other versus America. It's American capitalism. It's, you know, rugged individualism. It's bootstraps. It's I got mine. Fuck you if you don't have yours. You should have done better. You should have worked harder. You should have studied harder, right? Anyone
Yep.
who makes it in America doesn't give a shit about the everyone else,
Nope.
right? And that's white America, because white America is, you know, most of the people with the money. So they don't want to go to a system that puts us all in the same boat because of the terminology. Because the voters in Florida, as soon as they hear socialism, socialized medicine, right? They're voting MAGA, right? So there's a whole swath of the country that as soon as that term comes up, hey, let's remember ACA wasn't able to get a public option, right? It was just a pool of private insurers. There's no way the public option could go through because then it was death panels. Oh, somebody's
Right.
deciding you're going to die. Well, here we go now. Who's going to decide who lives or dies? It's really going to come down to who has money. If you have
Right.
money, you get to keep your chemo. You don't have the money, you're going to die. Okay,
Yes.
I don't know if you want to call it a death panel, but it's kind of like a policy decision, right? So in essence, the legislators are the death panel. They're
Yep.
sentencing a whole bunch of Americans to die in 2026.
Yep.
That's what's happening.
No doubt. No doubt. I'm there with you. All right, buddy. Way to end it on a high note.
You got
Give
a
me
quick hit
hit
for me
before we
today?
get out of here.
You got
Yeah,
a
I
quick
got
hit
one.
for me?
Yes, I do. Our favorite retailer, Costco, is picking up where Target left off. They are actually going to give Black and Bold coffee a test run in select stores beginning in May because they were impacted by the Target DEI debacle. So Target kicked them to the curb. Costco is now going to pick them up and run them in certain stores. It's Black and Bold coffee. Apparently, it's pretty good coffee. And they're going to get this run, a trial run by Costco. And it's a black owned company and good for Costco, for giving folks a shot. I know how hard it is, to get a product into Costco. One of my clients formerly had a product there, and it was not easy to get in. And we ultimately could not keep the product in the store because of their policies and rules and regulations about the products they carry. So
Well, I'm just going to say this. Black customers are going to have to come out in droves and
yep,
buy that shit up, right?
yep,
And
yep.
make it economically beneficial for Costco to do the right
Have it in
thing,
the store.
right? Yeah,
Yep.
to do the right thing. Because then they'll go, hey, who else can we bring on the shelves, right? You got somebody making
Yep.
some black and bold peanut butter? All right, we'll take some black and bold peanut butter, right?
Oh, no, for sure. I mean, and see, this is the thing, Brock. As black and brown business owners, there are so many obstacles in the way of us getting to big box retailers, right? So that's what slows down progress in the black and brown communities, right? Aside from hair care products, I would like to know what are the leading, products, for black and brown companies that are in big box retailers. I bet the statistics are woefully different. If white America has what, 17 times the wealth of black America, that there's the story right there,
It's
right?
hard because those are businesses that are cash intensive. You have to have inventory because you have
Yep,
to, right, because they need volume purchases.
yep,
You have to, somebody's got to loan you the money or invest in your business. That's where the inequity between venture capital money comes into play. That's where the inequity between access to loans and bank loans. And hey,
boom,
you're
boom,
going for a bank loan. You're probably, you're a black guy. You're probably meeting with a white guy, right?
yep, yep.
Chances are that guy, that loan officer, chances are is a white guy. You
And
got
he's
you
not
got the
gonna fall
cultural
for the
divide.
bananas and
The
milk like,
racial and cultural divide comes to play in that meeting versus the
yep,
white guy going in there and who knows, talking about their kids may go to play on the same team and they're this, that, and the other thing, right? They find a different commonality and there's a comfort level and a trust, and lending's all about trust, and that's where like kind of the soft bigotry of our economic system comes into play, right?
yep.
So that's why it
Hats
doesn't
off to
happen
Costco.
because those are businesses that it's hard to, you just need a lot of capital to play the game against the big boys, and that's what you're
Yep.
doing when you're talking about retailers and Costco. But you know this already. But there's a lot of things that when people say, "Oh, why do you bring race into everything?" and it's because it plays its way down to the individual
Into
level and the business
everything.
level. It works its way all the way through the system. And if we don't talk about it and make an awareness of it, we can't change it and make things, just more fair
Yep,
until
yep,
unless we talk about it and acknowledge it and
yep,
have a willingness and a desire for change. I just hope that's part of what comes out of when the pendulum swings back here, when we totally defeat MAGA and push it back into the shadows and the corners, where it should
yep,
be, not out in the fucking open running shit, that we're going to look at all of these issues because we
yep,
know they all add up to the aggregate, right? You have
yep.
to take care of a lot of little things to
No
make a
doubt.
big change. That's why
No doubt.
we're going to have a long list of shit. We're going to have a long list of policies. We do need our own Project 2026 and Project 2028 and really put
Yep.
together a blueprint of policies and implement them as rigorously as Project 2025 has dismantled America, right?
Yep. Yep. And remember Coach Prime's famous line, "We ain't hard to find." Black and Bold got Dion to put on a hat, and he's a partner with Social Enterprise with Black and Gold Specialty Coffee as a co-owner.
Okay.
So there you go. So obviously Dion believes in the brand, and you know what? They only got 5,200 followers on TikTok. I'm gonna put their TikTok in the chat so people can follow them and stay up to date and buy some coffee.
5,200 more than we have as two men in black and white, having been
Yeah,
banned and banished from TikTok.
exactly. TikTok.
Yeah, maybe I should go. Should I go back and try to get us restored, or fuck them?
Yeah, why not?
Okay.
They got a cold brew. They got, man. Look, I'm gonna order me some of this Black and Bold. I love it, and their colors are black and gold, just like Colorado Buff, just like the CU Buffs. I love it. I love it. Hey, do whatever makes it work for you, baby. All right, Brockster, we're out of here, baby.
All right, Mark. Always a pleasure. I'll talk to you tomorrow.
Yes, sir. Sounds good. Peace.